Hey guys, what's up? Razor here, back again with another preparation guide, and today we are going to be covering the newest 4-star added to the game as of 1.5, which will come out in April 27th or 28th, depending on your live, which is Yanfei. Quickly before I start the Yanfei video, I just want to thank you guys for supporting my EULA preparation guide for those that watched it and gave it a like or whatever. I really appreciate you guys' support, and it just means a lot to me that you guys are really liking this content, so I'll be sure to make more preparation guides. And we did hit our 200 like goal for the damage modifier, so I will make a separate video talking about that. I will try to make some sort of analogy to make it easier to understand, probably with like Uno cards, because that's like the best analogy I can come up with. But thank you guys for your support. It means a lot. And yeah, with the Yanfei video, we're going to be covering the stats, talents, weapons, artifacts, constellations, and teammates. And I know that sounds like a lot of information, but I'm going to try to keep it somewhat concise but complete as well. And if you want to skip to a specific section, feel free to use the timestamps in the video linked below, or the chapter system that YouTube has. And yeah, if you just want to care about weapons or whatever. And again, before I start the video, I just want to say, if you guys could like, comment, or subscribe on the video, it would really help out my channel, help my video have a lot more visibility and outreach. It really means a lot to me for get my videos out to more people and who can just enjoy my content. I don't really do this for money. I just do this for fun, and I just have fun with the game. And yeah, I also do stream on my Twitch, twitch.tv/razorninjas. It will be linked in the description below. Feel free to check me out. I stream pretty regularly, so yeah. I also do a lot of gameplay roles on there, so yeah. So without further started, let's get into the guide. Starting off with the stats. So Yanfei has pretty average stats for a 4-star, all things considered. The one thing I will note, however, is that Catalyst users tend to be pretty squishy overall. And so, like, just be careful. Like, I know Mona, like, I come from the experience of playing with a lot of Mona, in the early days of Genshin, and she just got slapped so hard by like an Animo boxer, like one-shotted in Abyss 10, like the very long time ago. But Catalyst users tend to be some of the more squishy characters in the game, and so you may want to consider running shield characters to keep them alive. And so, but her stats are pretty much average for the rarity, and for her Ascension stat, it will be pyro damage. Ascension stats, for those who have no idea about what they are stats that are gained on every non-passive Ascension. So every Ascension except for Ascension 2 and Ascension 4, you will get an increase in your pyro damage from up to 24% at the max Ascension value. And so pyro damage is like pretty freaking good, especially considering that all of our attacks will be doing pyro damage. So unless you're running a Skyward Atlas or Eye of Perception or whatever, which is kind of garbage, but whatever. So again, very good stat for her. I think only thing that might have been better would be ER potentially, or crit rate. But, you know, it's a 4-star. You can't ask for too great Ascension stats, so pyro damage is still freaking awesome. For the materials to get her up, she will require the same mat, so basically the gems. You can easily farm this like through either fighting the Pyro Flower, or you can farm the weeklies. Weeklies also drop them too. You can also get them from the Primo Geoviship. That random though, but you can, I guess, cheese it by going to other people's worlds, or you could just be a smart person and I guess just farm like you can farm your primordial jades, and then everything that's not a pyro gem, you can use your salts, which you probably have a bunch of them, to convert them into red gems, your pyro gems anyway. So that's the smart thing to do, just use your salts. That's what they're there for. So she will require the primordial jades, or juvenile jade, sorry, which can be farmed from the Primo Geoviship. I'm sure most people are already aware for them. If you've already been farming for Hu Tao or farming for Shao, those units also require the juvenile jade. She require the Noctilus jade as well. I think that's what's called. You can easily farm this in Overworld. It's pretty easy. If you don't have enough to farm in your own world, you can also join your friends and quote unquote convince them to give you their jades, or just steal them, just straight up steal them, yoink them from your friends' worlds, and just yeet out, or just join random people. It should be not too hard. She will also require the treasure hoarder mat drops. Just go, if you're preparing for her, just easily just go to your book every day and just go to the treasure hoarder, farm all of them. They respawn every 12 hours. It's not that hard. And she will require, to get her up to 90, she will require 2.1 million Mora. And that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. So make sure you come prepared. Just make sure. I think the battle pass gives you, like, if you have the $10 battle pass, if you do the max level, you get like 2.69 million Mora. So it'll be enough to get her up on that. But make sure you just also keep your Mora high. You can sell artifacts as well for Mora, so it's not a big deal. Basically, that's kind of like that's going to be the stats section. Not too much to talk about. Just wanted to talk about like the stats and ascensions and what necessary. And so now we're going to be talking about the talents. And so her gimmicks are actually really interesting in that her normal attack talent has a very unique property to it. And this is where I'll introduce the concept of the Scarlet Seal. So when you hit a normal attack, you will get a single Scarlet Seal, and you can get a max of 3 Scarlet Seals at C0 through C5, and at C6, you get a 4th Scarlet Seal. And each Scarlet Skill you have, as I stated here, will decrease the stamina consumption that Yanfei needs. So stuff like running, I guess climbing as well, but mostly running and iframing will be easier as like decrease the consumption of that, as well as the charge attack itself. So, and speaking of charge attack, there's the another special property of the Scarlet Seals is that they boost your charge attack damage. And so as you can see on here, this is 0 Scarlet Seals, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so you can only get the 4 Scarlet Seals through the Constellation 6 ability, which is pretty nuts. So it also, keep in mind, 4 Scarlet Seals will also increase the decrease the stamina consumption, which will be 15% of everything, 15% stamina consumption on each seal. And so it also, the charge attack will consume your Scarlet Seals, but it also, in exchange, will deal more power damage depending on the number of seals used on the charge attack. So, right, it's right here. Plunge attack, nothing special. It's pretty much average for the pyro unit in the game. Nothing too much. But the main thing I wanted to discuss is that I think the charge attack is also a little bit high, but keep in mind that this is going to be like greatly reduced with the amount of seals. So essentially how you want to use her is that you want to normal attack to build up your seals and then do the charge attack. Kind of self-explanatory, but this has a lot more, it's a lot less basic than you actually think, because there's a little bit of fun sort of mechanics you can apply with this when we talk about the elemental skills, which I will follow it up with. So her first elemental skill, Signed Edict, it will do a simple skill damage, so it's actually not too much skill damage, but it's a good amount still. And when they get hit, they get Yanfei the max number of Scarlet Seals. This is huge because now you can just get you can immediately get all the Scarlet Seals for your ability and then immediately follow up with a charge attack. It's just a lot of, and so it could give like 500% damage. And this is actually really good when we talk about weapon choices because like it also has a fairly long cooldown at 9 seconds. So what you can do is and why I think this weapon is so good is the sacrificial fragments is actually ridiculous if you run her with like Xingqiu, because you can do E, get the vaporize, then do your charge attack, which gets you a another vaporize, and then you can just follow it up with another Signed Edict and then another vaporize. Do a normal attack maybe, and then do Edict vaporize again, like double vape on this. It's actually, and unlike other sacrificial weapons, the sacrificial fragments stat is EM, and so it gets boosted by the vaporize damage, unlike the other sacrificial weapons, which is just pure energy recharge. It's actually quite good, very, very good. So if you guys have a bunch of those lying around, very good on Yanfei, and I'll discuss that when we talk about the weapons, but I just wanted to bring that up here because it's quite important. So finally, going into the done deal. So her elemental burst. So again, this ability will also give Yanfei the max number of Scarlet Seals and give her a new status called Brilliance. And Brilliance is like sort of like Razor and Xiao's like transformative abilities. In fact, it will give Yanfei a Scarlet Seal at fixed intervals. I think it's like 1 per second, I think at level 1. I'm not sure if this scales with levels because Honey hasn't updated. And also increases the damage dealt by her charge attacks. For those that don't know, damage dealt is the damage modifier. So this is added to your pyro damage bonus. So just keep that in mind. It's not multiplied into your damage. It's just added. So if you get 33% damage dealt from your charge attacks on here, that 33% is added with the pyro damage bonus on her, which is 24. So it'd be 33 plus 24, which is like 57. And then that 57 is added with 46.6 on the cup if you have a 5-star pyro cup. So that is the actual damage bonus that's multiplied into your final damage, not 0.33 times like 24 times 46.6. That's not how it works. TLDR for that, and I will make another video going into more detail on that, but that's just how the damage charge attacks works with her kit. And the Brilliance effect will also end when Yanfei leaves or falls in battle. Exactly similar to Hu Tao, to Xiao, to Child, pretty much the same. And this burst, it's not also stated either, but I think at level 1, it's like 33% damage boost to charge attacks. It may go up to like 50%, which is nuts potentially. It may stay the same. I don't know. And the the burst cost is 80. It's pretty expensive, so hopefully you have some characters that can generate elemental particles, like a Diona with the Favonius bow, and ideally, and so you definitely want to run that on her. And going into the skill priority, in my opinion, you should immediately go for the normal attack. Immediately get this stuff up if you can. Get this to 6. Like, obviously, you should get all your skills up to 6. If you're a chief to play, or 699 as if you're a whale and have C5. But if you're in terms of using your weeklies on, which one should you use your weeklies on first? Normal attack easily by far. You'll easily get the more bonuses per usage, because your charge attack will go up, and majority of her damage will actually come from using these charge attacks. So you want to get this charge attack up higher and higher. Followed after that, you want to go into the done deal. Why done deal is so important is that this brilliance effect is just going to potentially get even better. The Scarlet Seals may come faster, you may get more damage dealt, so it's just a lot better. It may just be bonuses, and that's kind of a shame. It's not updated on Honey, and I may update that as more information is known about the levels on here. But this may be the second one. This is probably going to end up being the second skill you want to get up. And then finally, Signed Edict. They're all really good, and I highly suggest you get all of them up if you plan to use Yanfei, because just these skills alone, I think she's nuts. She just seems like a very, very, very good 4-star DPS character, especially if you have Constellations on her. Keep in mind, you can also get spooked by her probably out 1.6 onwards. So she seems like a very, very good character. And again, talent leveling, speaking of talent priorities and talent leveling, she will require books of Prophets, the gold books, which can be farmed from the Leeway book domain on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Also, it takes quite a bit of resin to farm these books, so make sure you farm these in advance. Again, she will require treasure hoarder mats, and also, word of note, if you guys never noticed this, these blue mats, the treasure hoarder mats, are always the same as the blue mats required for Ascension. So, pretty much they're always the same. And then finally, she'll require like a new mat from the new boss. You can use the Dream Solvents in 1.5 to transform other boss mats from the 1.5 boss as Dada, or as I like to call him, Ass Daddy, for Yan. You can also convert. The conversion, it was not explicitly said in stream for those watching the stream. However, in the Korean stream, the item was indeed in here. It's right here on here. So the new item, which allows you to transform one weekly into another. I guess they didn't want to cover it or leave it as a surprise, but this item is probably coming. I'm not 100% sure on it, but it is still in here. It could change though. Don't put everything. Don't trust me 100% on this. So those are the skill requirements, and then going into the passives. All right. Well, her passive ability, top tier. Chi-Chi, the last use that Chi-Chi had in the game was literally finding those dumb violet grasses in Leeway. Congratulations, 4-star does the same thing. Bye, Chi-Chi. You literally have 0 usage now. Chi-Chi is like actually not even useful anymore, because now you have a character that does the same thing. Bye, yeet her out the party. And then her first passive, so when she gets a Scarlet Seal from a charge attack, each Scarlet Seal is going to improve the power damage further by 5%. So if you have 3 stacks at C0 to C5, you get 15% extra power damage bonus versus actually nutty. And when you get the and then it didn't really affect, yes, the duration. You'll just restart the duration of this ability. It basically is what it's saying on the second sentence. So that's just extra damage bonus, dude. It's easy as heck to perform as well. So good, especially if you're gonna use your charge attacks and get the skill boost, and then you can just do your E and get the skill boost, your Q get the skill boost. Like, it's just gonna keep happening. So it just compounds. Like, you just get the constant 15 to 20% power damage bonus. And it's actually pretty damn good. And then Blazing Eye, her second passive ability. So when her charge attack deals a crit hit, she will deal an additional instance of power damage equal to 80% of her attack, and it counts as charge attack. So the main reason why you care about her being charge attack damage is if you had like the Elemental Burst, which is boosted, it boosts a charge attack damage as well. Or if you happen to run the Wanderer's 4-piece set, this would also boost the damage of that. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty damn good ability, because you get the 80% is also a pretty good amount of attack. It basically turns her charge attacks into more of like Ganyu charge shots as a 4-star. And that, in my opinion, that's very, very valuable. Especially when it's not even that hard to get her charge attacks built up. It takes probably the same amount of time it takes to Ganyu to charge an arrow. So I think she's going to be really nuts. I think she could potentially be the Ganyu of 4-stars. Like, she's, on paper, these stats look absolutely good, and obviously we'll have to wait to see how these actually works in real combat, but I have a very, very favorable impression of Yan. I think she's going to be so freaking good. And now that we talked about all of the talents for her, I'm going to talk about the weapons. And for the weapon part of this video, I have actually prepared a tier list, and I'm going to explain all the weapons. And for the sake of timing, I had decided not to discuss the 3-star weapons in this video because the 3-star weapons are garbage anyway, and it's just a waste of my time. And I honestly don't know a lot of them. I looked through them, but none of them are really that good. So, in the stats, low base attack on them also screws them, unlike someone like Albedo. Oh, and then thanks for the follow. Again, check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/RazorNinjas. But starting off at the bottom tier, we have the garbage tier, which is the Favonius Codex and the Prototype Amber. And I think that's what it's called. And man, the Prototype Amber, straight up garbage. Like, it's so bad already. It's nobody ever uses this weapon aside like on Barbara as a new player. But man, is it garbage on Yan. Just never run this. Like, actually, under no circumstance should you ever run this weapon. Because I think you do get a free copy of the tome. I forgot it from the tree. And then the other garbage tier is the Favonius Codex. I mean, it's not terrible. It probably should be a bottom tier on C. But it's just, don't use it. It's just, there are other free weapons that are better than this crap. Just like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. It's garbage. And then C, you have the Copium tier. We have the new Dragon Spine book at the top of C tier. This weapon is just so copium, dude. You almost never want to run this weapon because the damage bonus is physical, which doesn't do anything based off your character stats. Plus, on the top of that, it does more physical damage if the enemy is affected by cryo. Unfortunately, you're going to be dealing pyro damage, which removes the cryo already. So this is pretty much useless on her. It almost does nothing. So again, bad weapon. Don't use this weapon on her unless you have nothing else. Wine and Song is like, actually, it should be moved up here. Wine and Song is not a bad weapon. It's actually also Royal probably top tier. Wine and Song is like, it's not that good, man. It's like, it makes her stamina cost lower, but she already has lower cost anyway from the seals, the Scarlet Seals, so this doesn't do anything. Royal weapons in general tend to be really, really bad, and anyone who recommends a royal weapon, copium. These weapons are bad. Like the Black Cliff weapons are just way better than these. It's just a waste of Star Glitter, especially as a free to play. So just don't invest in these, generally speaking. And now moving on to B tier. At the bottom of B tier, we have the Eye of Perception gotcha weapon. It's not bad. You know, it's okay. You know, it gives you generally okay results. Not a bad weapon overall. And then we have at another part of B tier, we have the Withsith. Withsith is really good. It's actually fairly good for her. The problem is with Withsith, it's that while the substat's good and the effects are good, the problem is that the effect lasts for such a short period of time. And Yan is one of those characters, I think, that wants to be on the field just a little bit longer, and so she won't be able to take full advantage of this weapon. It's still actually quite good though. That's why it gets a B tier on here. It's actually quite good, but I think there are other weapons that do a little bit better than this. So, and then moving on, we have the Mapamare, and this is by far the best free-to-play weapon for her, friendly weapon, because it's very easy, especially with Xingqiu in your party, if you run him, to get the elemental boosts for this weapon, to get the effects off. And EM is actually really good on her, Yanfei, to boost the vaporized damage from a Xingqiu burst when using Xingqiu's burst because of how the reverse reactions work. And for those wondering, reverse reactions are actually, funny enough, a lot of times better than their actual 2x counterparts. And that has to do with how the elemental reaction system works. But TLDR, reverse reactions tend to be a lot better. And then this weapon is just very easy to hit the reactions, very easy to get your bonuses, very good weapon for free-to-play players, actually. Usually this weapon's pretty garbage, but in this case, it's different. For the best 4-star gotcha weapon at the moment, we have the Sacrificial Fragments. And I talked about this in the talent section with regards to her skill, but Sacrificial Fragments is the only weapon in the game out of the whole entire Sacrificial set that does not have ER as its stat. It has Elemental Mastery instead, and this has some huge implications for how you could possibly use Yan. So again, like the simple scenario is you can get some charge on your Scarlet Skills, pop the elemental ability and get your bonuses, and then when you use your elemental skill and do a charge attack, it could, if you hit an enemy with that elemental skill, it could reset the cooldown of the elemental skill, so you can do it again. So you can do E charge, and just do a lot of damage. And plus, on top of that, you have Xingqiu. It's going to be essentially vaporizing this damage as well, making it a lot more explosive in how you can get your damage out. Very good nuke potential, and that's why I like it on here. It's just quite a good weapon on her. So, very, very good. And then on the B last on the B tier, the top tier, we have the Black Cliff. Black Cliff's just overall solid series in general. Very easy to kill enemies with Yan, especially the weaker ones. Very easy to get these attack buffs on her. Crit damage, good stat as well. Just solid weapon. Can't go wrong with it. And moving on to the A tier, we have like the very, very good weapons. If you have these, you're pretty much gonna always want these instead of the 4 stars. These other weapons on B tier. So on the bottom, we have the Solar Pearl. Just crit rate is so highly coveted of a stat. Just for that alone, it's very noteworthy. But the effect is also very good. Unfortunately, it does not increase your charge attack damage, but the normal attacks are still very good value. So again, still very good mention. It's like an honorable mention. And then we have the 5-star weapons. So we have the Solar Pearl and the Scoured Atlas. Both of them are basically increased attack up, and so you will need a lot of crit rate to compensate. But they are very, very good weapons. Provide you a lot of damage value, especially if you run shield, which you pretty much want to always run on Yen anyway, because if you obviously probably may run Diona or run like Zhong, she's on his banner, so you most likely will get Zhong if you roll for his banner. You'll probably get the Sky. If you do have Memory of Dust, it's quite a good weapon for that sort of comp. So you can't go wrong with it. Scoured Atlas is just decently solid. And finally, at S tier, we have the Lost Prayer. Lost Prayer is good because she's probably going to be on the field for a decent amount of time anyway, with how she plays. Very similar to Klee and Ning in that regard. And also the high amount of crit rate and the high base attack. It's not that much better than the A tiers, to be honest, but it is noteworthy in that regard. And that's why I wanted to give it an S tier rating. So, also, this has nothing to do with the actual video itself for Yan itself, but man, MiHoYo, please, can we get some better catalysts? Gosh darn it. Like, please, give us some better catalysts. Why can't catalysts get, like, a Jade Cutter? Why can't they get a Staff of Homo? Why can't they get a Harp? Like, Lost Prayer is so crap on most characters. Come on, man. I'm a Mona Shrimp, and my god, do I actually just want a good weapon besides Withsith on her? Like, I have to run Withsith because, it's nothing else. But can I please get a nice shiny weapon for Mona? Please. Thank you. Like, why does every other class of weapon get so good weapons, and then Catalysts get shit on so hard? But, I don't know. I digress. But I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion on the weapons. TLDR, if you have Lost Prayer, it's probably going to be her BIS. But these 4-star weapons, I think Sac Frag is going to be super good and highly underrated for her. So, feel free to run it. Please let me know how it works if you have her when she comes out. But this is just my predictions. Feel free to run whatever you want and whatever gives you the most fun in regards to weapons. Next, we're going to moving on to artifacts. And to be honest, I have the artifact page pulled up. I didn't actually get it up. But the main 2 ones you actually give a crap about are the Wanderer's Troop. There's a big difference between the Wanderer's Troop and the Crimson Witch. And there are a couple differences. The Wanderer's Troop is actually quite good because you're most likely going to be running her in a reverse vape reaction comp. And so it will increase, if obviously doing these reactions is going to increase your elemental mastery. If you start off at 0, this is roughly 15% extra vaporize damage. And if you have the 4-piece, it increases the charge attack. And obviously from her kit, you understand that you're going to be spamming charge attack quite a lot with her, kind of like Klee. But you also will be doing extra charge attack damage from the burst as well. And remember, keep in mind though, YouTube, or viewers, my viewers, whoops, sorry, that with her damage, this passive will be dealing charge attack damage, which means that the Wanderer's Troop will also increase this passive's damage. So it's really, really good. I think it's the best set for her, funny enough. It's really close with this and Witch, and they do very similar things, to be honest. But I think this is actually better. But the problem with the Wanderer's Troop, and as I'm sure most people realize watching this video, is that Wanderer's Troop is freaking hell to farm. It's so hard because the only way you get these to drop is through bosses. At AR55, it's guaranteed. On bosses like the Hypostasis and the Flowers, it's guaranteed. Well, that or the Glad set. It's split between that. And then on top of that, getting good stats. You only get 1 drop as well. You don't ever get 2. You almost never get 2-drops of the artifacts. So it's also, you can get them from Abyss and the weeklies, but it's just so hard and not easy to farm these. So like, it's good, but only if you have the good substats. If you have good substats on Witch, please run Witch instead. Don't run this just because it's the best set in my opinion for her. So going into the Witch, if you have good substats on Witch, you pretty much it could easily outbeat the Wanderers, but they're very close. Witch is it's just 4-piece Witch is pretty much almost just as good. So again, power damage bonus increased. This again just increases your damage modifier stat. Please don't misinterpret this with the charge attack. They are pretty much almost the same thing synonymously because pyro charge attacks are pretty much the same. And the 4-piece will increase your vaporize damage by 15%. So extra vape damage you get off, which is pretty much around 80 EM, elemental mastery roughly. And again, it's very easy to get the using the elemental skill, especially if you have sack frags as well. You will not you get the triple stack on it. But yeah, it's a very, very good set for her, just easily. So just in terms of Witch, pretty much again, almost like any other DPS in this game, for the hat, almost always farm crit rate. That's pretty much it. Unless you have the nuts, if you're running like the Lost Prayer or the Solar Pearl, then you don't have to worry about crit rate, you can go into crit damage. However, if you're running any weapon else, and literally any other weapon, roll crit rate. Unless you have the absolute nutty substats in the world on every piece of gear, which is almost like impossible unless you're OK code and have farmed this domain for like forever, you will not have those crit rate substats. So pretty much always try to go for the crit rate hat. Just please. Cup, no brainer, go pyro damage. Please just go pyro damage on the cup. That's all you want to be running. Getting onset cup is extremely difficult though, so you can feel free to run an offset cup. That's probably the easiest piece to do, offset, because cups are just so hard to farm in this game, because gosh dang it, miHoYo. And then the timepiece, pretty much attack percent, almost most of the time. However, energy recharge is a very good honorable mention, because again, her elemental burst does cost 80, so it may be something worth considering for her as well. So it's a very good consideration. If you have a very good ER piece, this could actually be a very good consideration for her. So just keep that in mind. Plume and Flower, static regardless, so it doesn't freaking matter. Substats you're pretty looking for, pretty much the same as almost any DPS in this game. Crit, and so in this priority, crit rate, crit damage, ER, attack, elemental mastery. That in that order. Pretty much almost like every DPS in this game. You pretty much go. In fact, you may actually want to go EM over attack percent potentially, especially if you're not running the Wanderer's Troop set and running the Witch instead. So just a fun note on that. And it's pretty much builder like any other DPS character. Build on how you build Klee very similarly, and you should be fine. Not too much of an issue. And yeah, that is her artifacts. And now we will be discussing her constellation. So going back onto her character page. So again, you don't need constellations on her to be solid. I think she's still going to be, honestly, one of the best 4-star DPS characters in the game when she comes out. And in fact, she may even be better than Eula. I actually rated her higher on the tier list than Eula because I think she's just better. Not because of Melt Vape, but because like Eula's gets like like all over the place. But again, you don't need constellations, but constellations on 4 stars are pretty much achievable. Are very achievable, especially over a long period of time. But just don't expect to get C6 at launch, because getting C6 of a 4-star is harder than getting C0 of a 5-star. Anyone who says otherwise is lying to you. Anyways, enough said. Let's go into the constellations. So, Constellation 1, when she uses a charge attack, extra Scarlet Seal will also reduce the stamina cost even further, and resistance against interruption. C1 is so good. C1 is just so good because not only does it further decrease stamina consumption of the charge attacks, if you have 4 seals, it reduces the charge attack consumption on the stamina to 0. So when you use a charge attack, it will cost no stamina, just like Klee on her with her ability as well. It will be almost the same as Klee. And on top of that, it will also increase resistance to interruption, which is absolute nuttiness because you're going to be staying still for a little bit. It's just because there's a lot of lag with these charge attacks, and so you don't get annoyed by interruption from like the Geo Bishops on floor 12, if you're familiar with those guys. Fine, sorry about that. But yeah, this is interruption resistance is massive as well. And this huge stamina cost reduction is just 30% at C1. It's like, It's so good. This C1 is arguably one of the best, but it gets even better, arguably. So, moving on to Constellation 2. Increases the charge attack crit rate by 20% against enemies below 50%. This is absolutely nutty. This is just so nutty. Like, if you have 60%, this jumps you up to 80. And keep in mind that when you get the crit again, their passive will trigger. It synergizes so well with the passive. Because now, if one enemy just happens to get hit in this whole thing, because the crit rate against an enemy, this will also deal an AoE attack that hits enemies. This is just very, very solid. Because like it will always almost guarantee, if you have decent stats, that this will always trigger. And it's just such a good follow-up attack. So very good Constellation as well. I don't think it's as good as the C1 ability, but C1 and 2 is very, very good. C3 is just a simple level up on her E ability. C5 is just a level up on her Q ability. Enough said. Deal more damage, deal more stats, whatever. Done deal. Her C4 actually got nerfed. They nerfed the C4. So on Honey, they still haven't updated on Honey. It's 75. They say 75. This has now been changed to 45%. To understand how this is so OP, think about it this way. If Yanfei has 10,000 HP, she gets a 7,000 HP, 7,500 HP shield. This is so freaking good. And this happens every time you use her elemental skill. So if you spam elemental skill, you can get these shields up so easily, and they're very tanky. They tend to be generally very tanky, like almost, very similar to Diona. Now, Diona's is obviously a lot better than this, but it's just so good value. And now it's been changed to 45. It's still good, but not as good as nutty as it used to be. So I don't think it's as good anymore, but, it's still very good. It adds to her interruption as well, because like I said, casters tend to be very, very squishy, and so this will help her deal with, combat the squishiness that casters tend to generally have. And then finally, Constellation 6. Yeah, I know it's the burst. Done deal's the burst. So, and then finally, her Constellation 6 ability is the, it's just really good. It's just, there's no deal around it. So, it increases the max number of Scarlet skills by 1. So, it goes from 3 Scarlet skills to 4 Scarlet skills. And you're like, well, Razor, don't Scarlet skills, all they do is like make the damage charge attack stronger? Like, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. They make them stronger. But on top of that, they also decrease stamina consumption. They also, on here, and it synergizes with the C1. So, if you have C6, her charge attacks at 4 sigils will cost zero stamina, so you can pretty much always get your abilities off. And then it just makes your charge attack bigger, and just massive change. Also, it changes the passive ability, so you go from 15% boost to 20% boost. So on the pyro damage, it's just very, very good. Do I think it's as good? I honestly think it's about as good as Xingqiu's C6 ability. But in terms of a DPS, I guess. It's just very good value. It just changes a lot of her kit. It doesn't change her kit entirely, but it augments it in such a way that it's very meaningful. Unlike a lot of other characters, Constellation 6 is like, let's not talk about the Traveler's Constellation 6, who's actually just a joke. Like, Constellation 6, okay, Traveler's Constellation 6 is the exact same as Venti's. It's just straight up worse. It's like, because his burst is just straight up worse. The wording is exactly the same, but that's a rant for another day. But anyways, that is going to be talking about the Constellations. Finally, the final part of the video I'm going to be just talking about is going to be the teammates for Yanfei. For this purposes, I have my own game pulled up real quick. I apologize for the wait. I'm doing this live on stream. And so oops. Okay, cool. I have control. So now, going into teams, I already made my own Theorycraft team for Yan. Obviously, replace Cleve with Yan. And this team, I think, has a lot of synergies. If you don't like Venti or don't have Venti, a good replacement is Sucrose, because the EM boost also would be very, very nice for Klee. But if you have Venti, this is arguably much better. And so Xingqiu is almost mandatory for this team, I feel. The main reason is because you want the swords to proc so you can get your reverse vape reactions going. It pretty much sets the whole wheel in motion. And so you don't have Xingqiu, I guess you can use Mona. If you don't have Mona, then I guess you're stuck with Barbara. And good luck, because it's almost impossible. So if you have Xingqiu, hopefully Xingqiu is on the banner. He probably will be. No guarantees, but Xingqiu will probably be on the 1.5 banner. If he is, just get one copy of him, please, please, please. If you plan to run a Yanfei team. It's just so good without him. Like, without him, it's just, I'm sorry, go good with him. If you don't have him, it sucks. It really does suck. Sorry. So, finally, Diona. Diona's the healer for this team and the shielder. The main reason why you want the shield is, again, casters tend to be squishy, and getting interrupted really sucks because for the charge tech, you may be stuck in one position for a pretty decent long while unless you can have some weird cancel tech, I guess, like maybe like Klee. But we haven't seen that yet, so I'm just going to go with take shield. Also, Diona C6 has a elemental mastery boost as well, so it gives you a crap ton of EM and easy a proc for Noblesse Oblige, so you also get your boosts up from that. It's just a very good team. Speaking wise, if you don't, I think this is honestly the best team, and I'm not really going to discuss other teams because I think this is just the best one, in my opinion. You could sort of, I guess, mix it around, I guess. Maybe if you don't want Diona, you can swap off with, like, someone else, like Jean, maybe, or, God forbid, Zhongli or whatever. But then you're relying on Xingqiu for healing, which is kind of like a yikers. His Xingqiu's healing is, like, really bad. But this is just my team. I'm not going to be going into other teams because I think this is just a team that just has so much good synergies. And all of them, you have the 4-stars, the Sucrose as well. But if you guys have your own team and can't form this team, please, please, please feel free to leave a comment. I try to get as many comments as I can answered. If you notice on my EULA video, please just put it down. Just give me a couple days. I may be busy, so feel free to leave a comment. But anyways, that's going to be covering the teammates and just going into some final thoughts about Yan. And I've seen a lot of people make the comparison between her and Klee and Ning and being some sort of fusion. And I definitely see the similarities. My opinion is that she's better than both. I think she's going to be a really, really good unit, especially with the Constellation activated, at least C2, C1, C2, or even C6. She's just so good. I think she's going to be easily better than Klee, in my opinion, because the main problem with Klee is that everything about Klee is slow. Everything about her autos are slow, her range is bad, her E is slow, she can charge cancel, it's really all this tech, but it's like really kind of wonky, and her burst is kind of like, okay, whatever. She's just like not a great character in my opinion. I just don't like playing her a lot. And maybe if you like Klee, go ahead, but I can't enjoy playing Klee. Ning Guang is also just better than Ning Guang because unlike Ning Guang, Yan has access to elemental reactions other than crystallize as well. And so she can pretty much take advantage of all the stuff from Ning. I forgot how exactly the Star Jade is used, unfortunately. I don't use her a lot. Please forgive me on this. But Yan is easily able to get the same max Star Jades very easily and repeatedly on skill and burst. And on top of that, the elemental burst with Brilliance, getting a new Scarlet Seal every second on top of the normals. You can easily get these charge attacks off. And they cost no stamina whatsoever. And it's just so easy. And it's just... she's going to be so much better than Ning. I honestly believe that Ning is just going to be like, whatever, like water under the bridge, essentially, compared to Yan. I think she's just going to be a massive, massive character being added and very good win for free-to-play players because free-to-play players will have access to a very, very, very good DPS character. Just like how Diona is like really, really, really good for support or like Bennett, Klee's just going to get even better. And I believe, if instead of Diona, by the way, you can also run Bennett. Bennett C6 actually boosts Klee damage, and people bitch about Bennett C6 a lot, and I can see where they're coming from if they main Kaching, if they main Eula, if they main Razor. But like pretty much it's almost useless most of the time because like on most characters it doesn't actually matter. Child, Fischl, whatever. Because it not only does it depend on the melee weapon, but it's also other stuff too. So yeah, but anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. If you guys could leave a like, comment, subscribe, it would really help the outreach of this video, reach more people, and hopefully keep people more informed. And if you want to catch me live when I play, I do stream on my Twitch, which will be linked below in the description, twitch.tv/razorninjas. And yeah, feel free to join me there. I do a lot of rolling, I do a lot of gameplay, I do a lot of discussions live. And yeah, I hope to see you guys there. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.